Hey, welcome again to Pathetic, the podcast. We're coming back at you tonight. I want to make sure that everybody who is enjoying the show, if this is your first time watching us or listening to us, welcome. We appreciate it. We're glad you got here. However you got here, we're glad you got here. If you're a regular, if you haven't subscribed and you're a regular, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything at all. It's not like when you have to buy ride tickets at the boardwalk or anything like that. We're not charging you anything. Just hit the like and subscribe. And if you're new, hit the like and subscribe and tell your friends. We're going to have a really good show for you tonight. We're going to go deep into the top 10 picks of the NFL draft. Let me just say hello to my partners in crime here. Mikey, how are you?
I am fantastic tonight. Excited to get into this draft. Great time of year. We are a couple of weeks away from Kentucky Derby. We just had a nice Easter dinner. Great weekend of baseball. So we are running on all cylinders here. So Jeff, how are we doing?
Yeah, great time of the year. We have the draft coming up, so happy draft week to everybody. Happy belated Easter. Happy Kentucky Derby coming up. There's, it's kind of like the appetizer heading into, June, July, middle of baseball. Then all of a sudden football starts. So I can't wait for the draft. I'm excited.
I got to tell you, to our fans, anyone listening or watching, if you have not watched or listened to the very short episode we put up about our pet peeves, you got to watch it or listen to it. I'll tell you, I've watched it 3 times and I've laughed all 3 times, and not even from stuff I said, just stuff from Mikey and Jeff and our facial expressions, because we're genuine with this stuff. It's really a fun episode. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Mike, one other thing I missed, and I got to apologize to Mike Finnegan. He sent us an email probably 3 weeks ago, and I didn't see it because it winds up in some social media folder in the email. And he actually sent us his top 3 sporting events. Okay. So his number 3 was the World Cup. His number 2 was the Olympics. And
I have a good story about him as well, about the Olympics. So when you get to know, after you do number 1, I will give you his Olympics story.
His number 1 was March Madness. So, I mean, I think that first one with the World Cup, that was kind of a pitch high and inside. That Olympics one, that was a swing and a miss, but he got the March Madness. I do like the Olympics, Mike, but to have it in my top 3, listen, God bless you, but that's stretching it.
To each their own, right?
So flashback to freshman year, University of South Carolina. We are in a old school dorm where there is one bathroom for the whole floor, and there's like 30 rooms around one big floor. And there's 2 guys per room, and there's about 6 mics on the hall. So we have to start getting nicknames for everyone at this point. So because I was from New York, somehow I got Yorkie as my nickname. But Michael Finnegan got his nickname Screamer because it was during the Olympics when we were there, and he was absolutely screaming his lungs out at probably, I forget the sport. He'll probably text me when he listens to this and tell me which sport it was.
Was it a Summer Olympics?
Summer Olympics.
Okay.
And he was screaming at something, and his nickname became Screamer because of that. So shout out to him. I love the Olympics too. I love when the next Olympics come up. You will guarantee you I will have picks on the obscure events. I will have a race walking pick. I will have badminton, table tennis, you name it. I will have a pick for it. So,
all right. Well, Mike.
But yeah, shout out to Finnegan.
Mike, I want to apologize that it took that long. Now I know to check my social media folder, and if you send us something else, I promise you I'll get to it faster. Now, before we get to the NFL, we want to do really quick, Mike and Jeff, to do a recap on Game 1 of the New York Knickerbockers playoff game against the Detroit Pistons. Mike, what do you got?
So I was pleasantly surprised about how they came out in the fourth quarter. They were kind of flat to start the game off. Detroit is a pesky little team.
Yeah.
They only won 14 games last year. They got a couple of young guys. They have nothing to lose. They're coming into Madison Square Garden. They are, as I would say, all kinds of jacked up, ready for the playoffs here. And the fact that they were up and all of a sudden Brunson and the Villanova boys turned it on and finished the game off with a 21-0 run, taking a 1-0 lead in the series. They are losing right now. They're down 11 with 6 minutes left in the third, but who knows? I mean, they're a fourth quarter team, so I would not hold it against the Knicks coming down the stretch. And I just love seeing, I know you're not going to like this, Ted, but I love seeing all of the degenerate Knick fans outside of Madison Square Garden after a game one victory, screaming and carrying on, and Nixon 4 and bing bong this and bing bong that. I can't get enough of it. I wish I was out there. I just want to go hang out outside Madison Square Garden after these games, because when you get a win like that, there's nothing like that out there. So
yeah, the Knicks fans aren't helping bring people on board the Knick train this year to root for them, that's for sure. But I'll tell you, what could help you get on board the Knick train is the 21-zip run, which is really incredible when you think about it, because like you said, Mike, the Pistons are a pesky, scrappy, tough team. They're not really known as a team that chokes. But Brunson is a guy that comes back and he's a clutch player. It's one of my buddies who I work with. We always have the argument who the king of New York is, Brunson or Judge. It's obviously Aaron Judge. Yeah. But Brunson, he's the prince. I mean, he's the guy, man. And he's likable. He's a good dude. And the Knicks, look, I think the Pistons lost the series last night. That was probably the best they're going to play. And that is such a deflating loss. That wasn't like a back and forth game where, okay, Cat got the ball with 2 seconds to go and nailed a shot to win the game. This was a game where the Pistons had to win this. Obviously it's not really over, but like you got to figure the deflation of that loss for the Pistons is gonna really hurt them. But they're losing now, right? They're down a little bit. I know this will be recorded after, but posted after. But down 11 right now, it's like that's nothing compared to what happened last night. So hopefully it's a good series and competitive, but we'll see what happens.
I almost wish that the Knicks would start their series on the road, because when you have a team that comes in game one in Madison Square Garden and you can take one of those first 2 games and get a split coming home to your home arena.
Yeah.
That's such an advantage for those teams. And everyone gets excited to play at Madison Square Garden. This is, the mecca of basketball, as everyone says. So it's hard to make sure that you're going to be up 100% and make sure that the other team doesn't get hot and start making a bunch of threes. But hey, they still got a chance here. They go up 2-0. Business as usual. We keep going. Even if it's 1-1, I think you're still okay, because I don't think you're going to see a huge home court advantage at the Little Caesar Center in downtown Detroit going forward. I think you're going to be. It's going to be overrun with Knicks fans. I think Knicks fan North is where it's going to be, because those tickets are about 1/10 of the price of the Madison Square Garden tickets. So it's cheaper for you to fly or take the train or the Greyhound bus to Detroit and back than it is to get a seat at Madison Square Garden.
The Knicks got really lucky too, because Brunson almost jacked his ankle up again, and he was limping too. And the ankle is like, when you roll your ankle, it's not an injury you just recover from. In fact, it gets worse. So he wasn't on the injury report today. He's playing, so thank God for the Knicks.
Quick story with the Knicks. When I think I was a junior in high school, so it was probably somewhere around 74, 75, maybe 76. I'm not sure. There was a Saturday that we got on a train and we went from Jersey City over to the New York City, and we were going there to see St. Peter's College basketball game. But then after the St. Peter's game, We had tickets to see. It was a doubleheader. It was like Duke, North Carolina, and I forget who the other two teams were. And then we pooled our money together after we had to leave the Garden to put our money together to buy tickets to see the Knicks play Milwaukee that night. And we actually just had enough money to buy 3 tickets, and we watched the Knicks play Milwaukee. The Knicks were down by 18 with about 5.5 left, and they came back. They actually won by 3 or 4 points. They basically shut down Milwaukee. That was the days of Frazier and Monroe and DeBusschere and Bradley and Willis Reed, Jerry Lucas. And the thing was, that year they also did that on a Sunday to the LA Lakers. So that was in my when I was a big Knick fan. One of these episodes we have to talk about a couple of my very what would you call it, Mike? Grudges I have against a couple of teams, and they're very interesting stories. But for right now,
they probably happen to play at Madison Square Garden. Both of those
just
teams
happen to play there. All right, so let's get into it. We are 3 nights away from the NFL draft, which is it. I don't know why it captivates everyone. It's the dumbest thing to sit there and watch guys get their names called, and everybody tries to grade who did the best when you have no idea. You won't know for 3 or 5 years.
Zero idea.
But we do it anyway. And then we critique it like we're the GMs, okay? Because as bad as some of these GMs are, they're GMs, we're not. You know? Like Cashman told me one time when I disagreed with him on Wilma Flores, and he goes, I am the GM of the Yankees, and I just went like this.
That's true.
So that is a true story. So what I want to do tonight, guys, is let's do each one of us our mock top 10. And when we get to the Jets and the Giants, I want you to pick, obviously, who you think they're going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's different, who would you have really wanted them to take in that spot? Okay? So if you want, we can go Mikey, then Jeff, then me. We'll go through our top 10, and
Cool.
we'll keep it simple. And just a reminder, too, we are going to have an episode up Thursday night after the 7th pick of the draft when the Jets are scheduled to pick, so we can review the top 7 and review the Giants-Jets picks, and we'll get that right up. Okay? So, Mikey, the first pick, the Tennessee Titans.
Did you see before we get into the picks, did you see they had an ESPN little short on SportsCenter about that little jingle?
No.
Those 10 notes. They talked about who wrote them and how it became like the big thing in the draft and how everyone gets excited over those 10 notes. So if you do get a chance, check that out. That was very cool to watch it on Sunday
I don't even watch it on ESPN. I actually watch it on the NFL Network.
But yeah, that sound is like...
it's iconic.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So, Mike, what are we talking here?
So, Tennessee at number 1. You got to take a quarterback. I think you're going to end up seeing them take Cam Ward number 1. They've seen like they're going to be high on this guy. They've had him in for the second workout. They're all in on a quarterback. They need one there. I don't think Will Levis is the guy. So I think you got to take a quarterback there at 1. And Cam Ward, I think, is, especially after what's gone on the last few weeks with Shador and everything else, I think he's your clear number 1. If you need a quarterback, that's who you're going to take at 1. And then at 2...
Nope. Stop.
We're going to go 1-1.
We're going to go 1-1. We're going to go across. Jeff?
What do you want me to go next? Okay.
Yeah, you can go next.
So, Mike, I agree with you. Cam Ward is the obvious, probably the only layup choice here in terms of predicting. They have to draft Ward because, first of all, they can't go into another season with Will Levis. There's no more, maybe he's the guy, maybe he isn't. He is absolutely 100% not the guy. And, listen, I think Ward is probably, he's definitely the highest ceiling in the draft. And I don't think it's even close. I think he's going to be good. I really do. And I think he could potentially be good enough to compete in that division He's a dice roll, but they have to do it. They really don't have a choice. You can't pass on him at number one. I know, they say that Abdul Carter is probably the best in the draft, or Travis Hunter. But if you're the Titans, just based on who your quarterback is now, you have to go Cam Ward. So I think number one is the easy one. I'm going to go with Cam.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I do not think that I don't think Cam Ward is going to be their savior. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, but they have no choice at all.
Yeah.
So I think they go Cam Ward. Mike, number 2, the Browns.
So I think you got to take Travis Hunter at 2, simply because you need weapons for whoever their quarterback's going to be. I don't think you're going to be all in on Shador. I don't think you would want to take him there just because of all the things. I don't think Dion wants him in Cleveland. I don't think that it's a good fit for him. I think he's going to take over the whole team. And with a team that is, just got a new head coach, they are, trying to build something here from the ground up. If you're not 100% in love with the quarterback, and the quarterback's not 100% in on wherever he ends up, and is not giving these answers that Shador has been giving on these, I don't think you can take him there. But I think Travis Hunter is someone who you can build around. Even if you have a mediocre quarterback, he can be a difference maker, and he also can play corner, which will help you there as well. So I would take Travis Hunter at 2.
Yeah, and we're not going to do trade backs here for our mock draft, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns are looking to trade back too. If they get some phone calls, if somebody's really sold on Shador or Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, so that wouldn't surprise me. But I agree with you, Mike. I think they're going to go with Travis Hunter. I don't think he'll be a two-way player. I think they're probably going to use him at receiver the whole time, except maybe on like fourth down defense if they want, or, Hail Mary defense or whatever, if somebody gets hurt. But listen, this guy's a stud, man. I mean, he is an absolute beast, not just his talent and his versatility, but if you see this guy move, like whether it's the combine or his training, like this guy is a freak. And I'm usually not an overreactor when it comes to the athleticism. It's a little overrated sometimes, but this guy is that good in terms of his athleticism where you're going to see that. So if I'm the Browns, no brainer. If you don't get a sick offer to trade back, it's going to be Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I agree. I think Travis Hunter is the pick here. I do also agree, Jeff, that if they got any kind of an offer to trade back and I'm the Browns, I'm trading back, because that might give you the flexibility so that maybe what you can do is pick a quarterback in the second round or later in the first round. But but Travis Hunter is the pick. I agree. I think he's going to play mostly wide receiver, but there will be situations where he plays corner. So we'll see with that one.
Should I go? Should I start the
Yeah,
Giants?
you know what? You're a Giant guy.
I do the Giants. I'll do the honors.
Yeah,
Okay, so now you want me to say who I think they're going to pick,
yes,
and who I want them to pick.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the good news is who I think they're going to pick is who I want them to pick. So I'm going to go. This is a layup if he's there. Abdul Carter. There's no question about it. The Giants need to get back to Giants football, right? Which is a monster pass rush, right? You think back when we had Strahan, Tuck, Osi, Kiwanuka. And right now they have that foundation where they have Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, not the biggest Thibodeau guy, but he can play, especially if he has distractions, right, for the offensive line to worry about. They're light in the secondary, so you can get there's really nothing there for defensive back. But listen, a solid pass rush masks a lot of the deficiencies in the secondary. So I think if the Giants don't have Abdul Carter available, let's say the Browns take him, or let's say someone trades up to get him, I think the Giants will trade back. I really do. They may go Hunter. I don't know if they're hungry for a receiver. I think they're pretty happy with those guys they have right now. So they may get a really good offer to trade back if Carter's not there. But if I'm the Giants, I'm going Carter 1,000%. If he's not there, I would trade back. But Carter's to the Giants.
Okay. Mike, before we get to you, Francisco Lindor just hit his second home run of the game, and the Mets are up
Nice.
5-0 on the Phillies. Mike, what do you think about the Giants?
So I would agree with Jeff. I think if Abdul Carter's there, you got to take him. But if he's not, if Cleveland goes and takes him, or someone trades up and gets in front of him, I would probably go with Travis Hunter there as well. In that spot, I think you can go wrong, because what you could also do with Hunter is you could have him play corner and then have a couple of offensive packages for him as a wide receiver, because I think he's just as good of a corner as he is a wide receiver. So you could, if you really sat with him and said, hey, you're going to play both sides, but we want you to be all in as a corner, be our shutdown guy, and we will get you some fun packages in, have, Russell Wilson throw him the ball or do some kind of fun stuff with them around there. So I would absolutely agree. I would take Carter, but I would also take Hunter there if he's available.
And you draft him as a corner with like
Correct.
a hybrid receiver. Yeah, I could see that. Wouldn't be surprised.
I think the Giants are going to take Abdul Carter. Honestly, I really think the guy they should take is Tyler Warren. And the reason I think that they should is because I know that they have to get back to their defense. There are this is a very heavily weighted defensive draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if they were able to get a guy like Tyler Warren, it could make the job of Russell Wilson so much easier. And I watched him a lot last year in Pittsburgh. He was great with Freiermuth. If he had a guy like Tyler Warren to throw to, I think it would open up some stuff for the Giants. It would especially open up stuff for what's his face, Neighbors.
Yeah.
So I think they'll take Abdul Carter. I think they should take Tyler Warren.
The only reason why I wouldn't take Tyler Warren, who I'm a huge fan of, and we'll get to that when we get to the later picks, they already have Theo Johnson right now, who's an up-and-coming guy in that position. So, look, if they didn't have him, I would probably I would be teetering between him and Carter. But I think right now I wouldn't. I think you got to go defense no matter what. I really do. Unless
here's what I'll say: Gronkowski and Hernandez.
Yeah,
as a Jets fan, right, Mike? I mean, that drove us crazy. Mike, what about number 4, the Pats?
So you leading the witness right in. If he's there, New England is going to take Tyler Warren at 4 and have it be Gronkowski 2.0, because you think you have your quarterback. Do I think he's going to be the guy? I have no idea. I have my doubts. He's certainly not Tom Brady, but if you get him a couple of weapons. They were sneaky last year. They were kind of a sneaky team that will sneak up on you. And I think Vrabel is going to be the guy who's going to have a little bit of an attitude to him. He wants that sort of tight end guy who's there. They're going to be not a down the field kind of thing. They're going to be in the middle of the field, bruising and bumping and setting up their offense that way. So I would absolutely take Tyler Warren there at 4 if he's available for the Pats.
Mike, we have our first disagreement, which is great. And I actually disagree on all fronts here. First of all, I like Drake May. Uncle Ted, if you remember, I said I thought Drake May was going to be better than Caleb Williams. And if you look at the Patriots, I mean, that team stinks right now. They have nothing, literally nothing, and they had no coach until Vrabel. But I think the Patriots are actually going to go Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of LSU. I think they have a good quarterback. I like Drake May. And, again, the fact that they had no coach and just a bad team, I think May showed a lot. And the most important thing to developing a young quarterback like Drake May or like anybody really is to build an offensive line around him. The Patriots signed Morgan Moses to secure that right tackle spot. So now adding Campbell to that left tackle spot, to me, for the Patriots right now, makes all the sense in the world. So I would go Will Campbell out of LSU, number 3.
Before I make my Patriots pick, I'll let you guys in on something. A good friend of mine, Joey DeSimone, his son caught the first touchdown pass that Drake May threw in high school.
Really?
Yeah. So that down in North Carolina. So that's a little.
I hope he still has the ball.
I don't know. A
Yeah.
little
You
bit of
better find
trivia.
it. You better find a way to get
Right.
that.
Jeff, I'm 100% with you. I think Will Campbell is the pick for them. I think that Vrabel's going to look to solidify the offensive line. Will Campbell is a plug and play left tackle. He's going to go in there. He's going to protect Drake May, and it's not going to be a good thing for Jet fans. But I think that's the best move that they can make. I hope that they try to get creative with this pick because I think it'll kind of mess them up. But I think that this is the pick for them.
Hmm.
Mikey, the Jags.
So I'm gonna say they're gonna go defense, because I think you need a little something in that division to help with that. So I'm gonna take Jalen Walker, linebacker from Georgia, at for the Jags. There, I think he is your stereotypical Georgia defensive player. You want as many of those guys on your team as you can. You saw what Philadelphia's done. So I think that's a no-brainer pick there for the Jags at 5.
Yeah, who cares about the Jags? They're going to stink, as we all know.
That's also
So
true.
we'll make this one very quick, like I hope their pick is. Mike, I agree with you about defense, but I think they're going to go Mason Graham, the defensive lineman out of Michigan. The Jaguars' defense is obviously abysmal. I mean, if you watched, and I actually watch a lot of Jaguars games, believe it or not, because I'm always curious to see how Trevor Lawrence is going to do, because I think he's turning into, I don't want to say a bust, but it's getting into that territory. So I'm always watching them to see how he does. But their new GM is from the Rams, so
Yeah.
he's groomed to stress the importance of a pass rush. So I think they go defense. And Mike, that you may be right on your guy, but I think Mason Graham, just based on what he can do, it would be the guy for them.
The reason I think the Jags go offense is because of Trevor Lawrence. I think that they want to give him a weapon, and I think that weapon is going to be the running back from Boise, Ashland Genty.
Interesting.
I think they're going to do that. If you remember, when the Jags were playing really well over the years, they had a solid running back. Remember Leonard Fournette,
Maurice Jones-Drew at
right?
one point.
Maurice Jones-Drew, and even for a while, was it Travis Etienne?
Mm-hmm.
Before all the injuries happened. I think this is going to be a sneaky surprise number 5 pick. I do think they probably should go defense and go with Mason Graham, but
Yeah.
I kind of think they're going to go with this. I think they're going to go with the Genty kid, and so I think that's going to be their pick. Which leads us to Las Vegas. Who the hell ever knows what Las Vegas is going to do? But Mike, what is the guy with the bad haircut out there going to do?
So they got Pete Carroll in there running things. He wants Beast Mode 2.0, so I think he's taking Genty there if he's available at number 6.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get them set up with a running back. You get a couple receivers in there, and you're running the Seahawks offense in the spaceship there, the Death Star, in Las Vegas.
All right.
Yeah, this is my curveball pick. This could be a little bit of a surprise. First of all, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they went with Genty, but I actually think they go wide receiver here. So I'm going to go with Teteroa McMillan out of Arizona. Geno's not going to survive without a true number 1 receiver. He's just not. I mean, he's not a quarterback that's going to make his receivers better. Receivers are only going to make him better. It's not going to work the other way with him. And right now, Jacoby Myers, who I actually like, I think he's pretty good. I just don't think just having Myers alone with Geno is going to be enough. And I don't think adding a running back as good as Genty's going to be is going to help him in the pass game very much. Maybe a little bit, but I just don't think Geno's that guy to elevate. So I'm going to go receiver here, McMillan out of Arizona.
I think Genty's going to be gone. Obviously, I had him going number 5. And I think that when they look at it and they go either McMillan, the wide receiver, or defense, I think they're going to look to say, I'll pick up a wide receiver later. And I think they're going to go Mason Graham and shore up the defense. That's what I think they're going to do. That's what I would do. I mean, I love Mason Graham. I would love to have him around for the Jets, but I think he's going to be gone. So
nice.
Mike, Mr. Jet. He's got his Jet thing on there.
Yeah.
Do your thing. What do you
I'll
think,
let you.
Mike?
I'll let you two go first, and then I'll give my thoughts on it. This is your team, so go for it.
So if he's there, I think Mason Graham makes a ton of sense to go there. I don't think he's going to be there based on what you guys have said. I think the pick, as I said before, is you want as many Georgia big defensive guys as you can. So I'm going to think that they're going to take Michael Williams at 7 as an edge rusher from Georgia. You see how they are able to beat the big teams in the AFC is by getting to the quarterback with just your front four. If you have to blitz, you're dead because you're not going to get there in enough time. They're going to have enough. Those quarterbacks are so good. They're going to be able to throw to the receivers. You want to get there with your front four. And I think this guy, I've watched him a lot at Georgia, is a guy who can beat double teams, who you're going to want to scheme around the whole time. So I love that pick for them at 7.
Okay. So you love the pick. That's not just who you think they're going to pick him, and you also love the pick.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Jeff?
Go ahead, Uncle Ted. This is your team. You go, then I'll give my thoughts on it.
I think they're going to pick Membo, the right tackle. Now, listen, I can't argue with that pick, but to me, to pick a right tackle in the top 8 is, I'm not psyched by that. He's not a left tackle; he's a right tackle. But if they pick him and they solidify the offensive line, great. My pick here, if he was available, would be Tyler Warren, for the same reason I gave about Russell Wilson, about Drake May, having that tight end, because the Jet tight ends now are terrible. So I could even see them taking another tight end later in the draft. But Tyler Warren, they missed last year by not taking Bowers, although I love Olu Fashanu.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see them draft Tyler Warren and make a trade for the tight end from Vegas, Mayer. I heard he's on the block. But I do think that, unfortunately, I think they're going to take Membo. I'll be okay with it, but I would rather see Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I have Tyler Warren going to the Jets. This guy is just an absolutely perfect fit for the offense because of his elite blocking. That always goes unnoticed with tight ends, especially if you look at the Jets' style. This is not going to be a pass-first offense, right? This is clearly going to be a run-first team. Their running back core is good with Allen and what's his name? Breece Hall.
Yep.
So, we all know what Justin Fields can do on the ground, right? And sprinkle in the fact that he's a hell of a receiving tight end too, right? The guy just makes sense on all fronts. I think he's going to be there. I don't see anybody 1 through 6 drafting him. So if I'm the Jets, to me, this is not even like it should be a quick pick. I mean, maybe listen to offers, but if no one's coming in with anything good, you're grabbing Tyler Warren right away. I think it's the perfect fit for the Jets.
I'm with you on that.
I'd be happy with that pick as well.
Yeah, I would love that.
And the Jets really haven't had good tight ends throughout at least my lifetime. They had Dustin Keller, right? That was the one guy that I can remember. I can't even remember if he was really great. I think he was all right.
He was mediocre.
They had, what's the guy's name? I can't even remember. This guy's name.
They had Becht. They had Brady from Penn State.
They had a guy with a weird name.
Don't talk about Kyle Brady. That brings back bad draft memories.
That was a terrible one. But Mikey,
it'd be a nice pick.
What about Charlotte with the 8th pick?
So I feel like the Panthers always end up taking a corner in their early picks. I'm going to think they're going to take Jahdae Barron from Texas with that pick. I think he's a nice corner. Feels like they always have a good corner there in Texas, in Carolina. Their secondary is usually pretty good. They can't stop the run, or their linebackers can't get to the quarterback and they can't score. But their pass defense is usually pretty good. So I think they'll probably take a corner here.
So, Uncle Ted, you know how we talk about your second favorite teams if the Jets are out of it and you root for somebody else? My second favorite team is the Panthers, which is why I've never jumped off the giant ship because this team stinks every year. Right? So, but it is my new hometown for the last 8 years now. I live right by the stadium, so I root for the Panthers. But I think they go defense. I think they take Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. The Panthers defense, like the Jaguars, is just a complete disaster. You know, what I really like about Walker is the versatility. He can fly east to west, but he can also rush the passer. You know, so if his projections serve to be accurate, you know, he can create some masks for those defensive woes that the Panthers have because they're not going to fix it in 1 year. So if you have a guy that can fly back and forth in pass coverage and he can rush the passer, it can help the Panthers out big time. So I got Walker going to Carolina.
Jeff, I actually agree 100% with you. I think it's Jalen Walker. I think that if honestly, I don't find a more boring team than the Panthers.
It's brutal.
They are brutal to
So
watch.
bad.
And I think Jalen Walker would give them a little bit of excitement on defense. Again, like Mike always says, that typical Georgia defensive, you know, that mindset. So I think that would be huge for them. And I think they take them. I still think they got so many other problems. Quarterback,
All
one
over.
of them. But I think they take Jalen Walker. Mikey, what about the Saints?
So, perfect storm. You have Derek Carr with a shoulder injury. You have a division that's wide open. No one in that division is really going to scare you. I think this is the spot where Shedeur Sanders is going to end up. If it's not here, I don't know where he's going to end up after that. But I would think that if he's still sitting there at 9, the Saints are going to dial the phone as quickly as they can to put that pick in, and have him making his way down to New Orleans to and Dion and prime time in the Superdome. I think that's your pick there is Shedeur Sanders.
Mike, I agree with you. I think Sanders is going to the Saints. Derek Carr's season is in serious question, right? Even if he plays, he's not going to be 100%. So, you know, the injury is going to be inevitable. And, you know, plus they have an offensive-minded head coach now in Kellen Moore, right, who's he's good with quarterbacks historically in his short history, but it's enough of a sample size to see the guy knows what he's doing. I also think a new head coach comes into a team that has an aging quarterback like Derek Carr. They want to draft a quarterback of their own, right? They don't want to ride with the guy who's, you know, above average, who's getting older, who's already injured. Plus, it's an indoor stadium, which I think is great for Sanders. You know, despite Dion being this like athletic specimen, shockingly, Sanders is not athletic at all. Like, he's not a runner. He doesn't move very well. He's going to have to rely on the passing game 95% of the time. So I think just based on the offensive coach and more and the indoor stadium, I think the Saints is actually a great fit for Shedeur Sanders.
I agree with both of you that the Saints are going to take a quarterback. I don't think it's going to be Shedeur. I think that with Kellen Moore as the head coach, and I think he can do some really good things, not only with an offense, but with a quarterback. I think the pick here is Jackson Dart. Now, I don't know how good Jackson Dart is or how good he's going to be, but you can't teach height and that whole when you look at him, he is a stereotypical NFL quarterback.
Yes.
They did have a little bit of an easier time in the the conference he was in, the way he played. They said he had trouble looking off or going through his progressions. I think Kellen Moore would be perfect to help him with that. And I got to tell you, a lot of GMs, many more than one, are saying that Shedeur Sanders, if everybody would be honest, would say he's maybe a free agent signing. Okay. But somebody will take him in the first round. I think it'll probably be the Steelers. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it's going to be with this pick. Because if you're Kellen Moore, do you want to bring in Shedeur Sanders, who's a little bit undersized? His arm isn't that great. He's always got some stupid crap to say, little crappy, stupid things.
And it's only going to get worse as he gets more money and fame.
So let's bring in a Jackson Dart. who I think would be very happy to be here in this position. And I think Kellen Moore could do a lot with him. I say the pick is, if they're smart, I think the pick is Jackson Dart.
That wouldn't shock me, honestly. It really wouldn't, because you're right. What you're hearing over the past couple of weeks about Sanders has not been good.
Right.
Not even like his attitude. I don't think he's a bad kid. I know,
No,
like
I don't think so.
and I think that's been like a little bit of a misconception, because I kind of fell into that too, because I'm like, oh, it's prime time's kid driving the Bentley when he's in college. He's actually, he seems like a pretty, yeah. Listen, he's done with his money, but he's young. I would be stupid with money too if I was 18 and a millionaire, right? I'd be broke.
Exactly.
So I get it, but he seems like a pretty level-headed kid. I just don't think the talent's that good.
I agree.
That's the problem. It's not like, oh, he's not going to handle a city. I just think he's average at best in college, and I don't think he's going to be good in the NFL. I really don't. But I think they're going to give him a shot for some reason. I really do.
Mike, pick 10. The Chicago Bears.
So
Bears.
Their only job is to keep Caleb Williams on his 2 feet. There's no other job that you have to do in this offseason is to do that. So if he's there, Membo. If he's not there, Kelvin Banks, offensive lineman, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Every pick Chicago has should be an offensive lineman, because they cannot go through another season, and the kid's going to be dead by the time he gets to through his rookie contract if they can't protect him. So you have to get somebody there who can protect him and give him a chance to do what he does best. Because I think if you give him time, I think he's going to be very good. But if you don't have time, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're Patrick Mahomes and you only have 2 seconds to get the ball out, you're never going to be successful. So offensive lineman.
Outside of the Giants, this is the pick that I'm looking most forward to, because I think it's probably, if you're looking at it fairly, the most important pick in the draft out of all the teams, because you have a brand new coach coming in who is very highly regarded, and you have the quarterback that was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. And if this coach stinks and they screw this draft up and the team stinks again, this Caleb Williams is going to be in trouble. His mind's going to be screwed. But I think they go Genty here. I look at the new coach in Ben Johnson, and I could see him wanting that 2-headed duo in Swift and Genty, just like he had in Detroit with Montgomery and Gibbs. And having 2 good running backs is going to help transition his offensive style to Chicago, which will ultimately help Williams. And it helps Williams to not have to take over the games, which, I watched a lot of Caleb Williams last year. He's got talent, but I just don't see him being ready yet to take over these games single-handedly. He needs help. So I think a great way to do that is to draft another running back, let Ben Johnson implement his style that he had into this style, and I think it only helps Williams. So I'm going to go Genty here too.
I think that Mike's pick, Banks, to me, I think that would be the pick unless somebody like Tyler Warren falls all the way down. Then I can see them drafting a Tyler Warren, because they could use him the way they used Sam Laporte in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Mike's right. You have one job: keep Caleb Williams standing up. And that the only way you can do that is to build the offensive line. It's very boring, but when you build your offensive line and your defensive line, you're really on your way to having a very successful team. And it's boring as hell. It really is.
I like boring.
Right,
No one gets excited at the Chiefs picks, the Eagles picks.
Right.
No one gets all excited about these guys, and all of a sudden you're seeing them get 19 sacks, and they're leading the league in defense and everything else because of these guys they pick up, and their quarterbacks stay upright. They have all the time in the world to throw. It just makes sense to build the lines. It's not the sexy, exciting thing, but it's meat and potatoes football right there.
You know who was a fun pick? Odell Beckham Jr. And what happened there? Disaster, right? He was a problem here. They didn't win it all with him. he screwed up going on the boat trip and basically destroyed the team that year. And you know who else is a fun pick? Kadarius Toney, aka Young Joker.
Yeah.
Young Joker.
Young Joker.
That's his name now.
He's retired from football. I'm gonna buy his album now and jam it in my car on the way to work.
Yeah.
That's a fun pick, the quote unquote fun pick. You know
Yeah.
what a boring pick was for the Giants? Andrew Thomas. That was a boring
Right.
pick, and he's the best player on the team right now.
Yeah.
Right.
that's
So listen, man, boring, especially for teams that are rebuilding. You got to be boring. You can't have the fun, flashy trophy. You need to have the boring offensive line, type of a pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got to do something like that. But I would still go Genty with the Bears, just because
Sure.
if he's going to be there, I just think Ben Johnson can put his style with two running backs like they would have. But yeah, you're right. Boring would be a good idea too, and I should have learned my lesson.
Well, we're certainly going to find out about Ben Johnson. I think we're going to find out in a hurry. The other thing is, everyone, I think down in this corner, you're going to see our Link.Tree. Check us out. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X now it is. YouTube, our email address, patheticthepodcast@gmail.com. Write to us, just like Michael Finnegan did. I'll get back to you quicker. I swear I will. This has been fun. A reminder, Thursday night, we will be on after pick 7 so that we can discuss the Giants pick, the Jets pick, and then very quickly, while we're talking, as things are happening, we'll probably comment on that. But Mike, Jeff, enjoy the rest of the week. Let's get some sleep so we're ready for that draft.
Yeah.
We got 3 days. We got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So let's not burn ourselves out.
Don't, if you're in Green Bay, do not buy tickets to the 8th round of the draft like my wife did when it was in Philadelphia from someone, because just don't do it.
Because that's the perfect way to end it. Guys, have a great night. Good night.